Hello, my name is Scott Bullhall, and welcome to my street crossing behavior and awareness campaign. In this campaign, we observed 15 people on a busy street on my lunch break at work, and we got to see what some of their tendencies were and what some of the behaviors were, and we got to make inferences based on those things. I observed at the location of Everett Mall Way and 4th Avenue, a pretty busy street right outside of where I work, which has recently had a lot of not a lot, but a few hit and run incidents where pedestrians are getting hit and mostly involved with the homeless in the area. It's a very homeless populated area. I did this around 11 a.m. and I observed 15 individuals or just, 15 people based off of if they were alone or in groups, whatever it may be. I observed a mix of behaviors from people being on their phones to lots of people having headphones in, earbuds, lots of people rushing to catch the bus down the street. I also saw that people were following the rules. A lot more people were following the rules than I expected, and we saw groups socializing out there. I observed at this intersection because, it's like I said, it's one of those places where it's a busy intersection. There's a lot that goes on. I was actually interested to see what was going to happen. So, with that, we're getting into our segment one that I named the zoned out walker. So these are people that are usually on their phone with their headphones in, walking at a steady pace. But overall, they just look mentally checked out with what they got going on with their cellular device, whatever it may be, and they don't seem fully present in the environment around them because they are so focused on their phone. I saw this in the second person I observed, the fifth person, the eighth person, and the 13th person. So out of all the groups I've segmented, this is the most popular. These walkers seem to be escaping into their own world, music texting, or just regularly tuning out. They usually follow the rules like the traffic signals, but don't seem fully engaged with their surroundings, often creating danger, especially in a place like this, which is a high traffic area. For the second group, the segment two, I labeled it the hustler. So these are often people that are rushed, fast paced, and often ignore the traffic signals to walk across the road and back and stuff like that. I made the assumption that they're likely running late or just naturally impatient people. I saw this three times in person 3, person 4, and person 12. I said that they are time driven. Whether they're late or just move fast by default, they prioritize their speed over their safety, and ignoring those traffic signals puts them at a higher risk from getting hit, especially on a green light. I noticed this a lot more with, it seemed like the homeless population where they were much more in a rush to either catch a bus or just didn't seem to have a care in the world for waiting for the crosswalk, which is something I usually see. Um, Here in the third segment is the rule followers, and they're the safest. They follow the crosswalk rules and they stay focused on what is going on around them and in their environment. It's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, they're alert, they wait for the signal, and they are often solo, not in a group. And I made the assumption that they are just both safe and aware of what's going on. I saw this two times in examples. The first person I saw, and then also the seventh person I saw. So yeah, not as popular as some of the other ones, but there were definitely people out there doing the right things and following the rules and not engulfed into whatever technology they had going on. I mean, some of these people still had headphones in, but it seemed like they were pretty aware of what was going on and out enjoying the nice day. For the fourth segment here, I put the social walkers. So this I categorized as people being in groups, which I saw I saw two groups. I saw a group of uh, school kids, and then a couple people walking together, which I classify them as a group. But they seem to be casually distracted with whatever kind of commentary they had amongst themselves. They did follow signals, but you could tell that their awareness dips when they're in those settings of talking to people because they're engulfed into what they got going on in their inner circle and not really aware of what's going on outside. Um, like I said, I saw this two times through examples 9 through 11, and then in examples 14 and 15. They're focused more on conversation or group dynamics more than safety. They're not really reckless, but they're not as alert as some of the others either. So, The insight I gained after all this observation was that people aren't just distracted, they're preoccupied. There's either escaping reality, rushing, or socializing, and their thought of public safety fades into the background. I mean, it's distraction isn't just the carelessness of these people, but it's driven by the deeper motives of these individuals. They either want to escape the monotonous walking down the pavement sidewalk to wherever they're going, and they want to go on their phone, whatever it may be, um, or they're maybe on the phone connecting with other people. And with those distractions, safety definitely isn't the number one priority, and you can tell that they just overall not checked out, but not so much with 100% with what was going on around them. I mean, you could even tell when cars go by with a loud exhaust, they don't even bat an eye. I mean, most people would look up and be like, "Whoa." So for the campaign, I decided to name it "Look Up and Stay Alert." Pretty simple. The goal here was to get people to stop walking around, distracting in busy street areas where their safety becomes a risk. The message of the campaign is that your phone can wait and your safety can't. The focus is, of course, on our first two segments of the zoned out walkers and the hustlers, which we found to be most problematic with people who aren't paying attention primarily. But the campaign targets the most at risk groups. We're not here to make fun of those people, but we're reminding them that life is worth looking out for and being aware of your surroundings. The campaign says stay present, stay safe. So here are a couple of our mock-up examples. On the left here, we have a bus stop poster, which is, I mean, hitting people where they are. And on the right, we have a social media post, which is also hitting people where they are, either scrolling on Instagram or waiting at the bus stop. Both of these examples remind people that presence matters more than either your playlist or your pace in life. So on the left here, it says distraction is dangerous. Even when you think you are in control, the punchline here is to look up and stay alert. And then we put a little message down at the bottom saying that this is a message from the Street Crossing Behavior and Awareness Campaign. And then the one on the right here, which is used for whatever social media, Instagram, TikTok, says to stay in the moment, stay alive, and stay safe. A message from the Street Crossing Behavior and Awareness Campaign. Um, I think it works great. It's just two people, using their phones, crossing the crosswalk that could be more aware of their surroundings, especially when it comes to busier areas like the one we observed at Air Mallway and 4th Avenue. So, in conclusion, we observed 15 people. We identified 4 segments. We turned those key insights into our campaign, and then turned those campaign observations into real-world impacts through our campaign examples, through our Instagram posts and our bus stop posts or mock-ups. And my final thoughts here were just being present might just save your life. The campaign goes beyond just crossing the streets. It's about awareness in daily life. Whether you're in a rush or zoning out, being present is the difference between danger and safety. Thank you.